think we're working.
A little click.
Yeah, that's a metronome.
You guys all good?
Yeah, I
Is
think
that
so.
good? I think we are. Can we scoot this over a little bit more?
Yeah, let's give you a little room.
I feel like a rapper.
Yeah, oh, shit. Well, you better spit some lines then, bro.
Yo. That's why I thought the metronome was going.
Can't hit me with that 90s shit, dude.
Why does it have to be 90s?
Well,
Why does it have to be 90s?
You're kind of old. Cool. Are we good? All right, cool. We're live. Mr.
right.
Ruben Resendez, how are you, dude?
I'm doing amazing.
I
It's been a whirlwind.
I appreciate you doing this, man. This is really cool.
I appreciate you reaching out and asking me to do this.
Yeah, man.
I am honored.
This is a trip for us for sure. I mean, I'm not used to being in front of a camera all the time and the mics and all that. So we're excited. You have a lot of accolades behind you. I looked at your resume on LinkedIn. I did a lot of stalking. Not to mention, I talk to your team members all the time. Friends with a few of them. I like, your guys over there are solid. That's what it seems like. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that because you have some extraordinary employees, but they are extraordinarily happy. And I want to dig into your brain a little bit because I know you take them on events and you do really cool stuff like that. So what's the idea behind that?
So what's interesting that you say that I have a whole bunch of accolades, which is really interesting because when I look at it for myself is, like I grew up on the east side of San Jose, which most people would say is the wrong
Same
side
here.
of the tracks.
Yeah, same here. I'm like off of Alum Rock.
Yeah. I grew up on Story and White, like right behind the Super Taqueria that's right there. I went to Mount Pleasant High School.
Oh, dude, he's local, but
which
he's
actually
a local guy.
was actually known as Mount Pregnant.
Yeah,
because and I didn't realize this until I grew up a little bit later that like they actually had a daycare center right next to the high school
because of
for
that
all
reason.
the kids because all the kids were all having so many kids while they were there.
Yeah.
And it was called Mount Pregnant as like a short. And I didn't realize it until I started growing up. I was like, wow, we had a daycare center next door for the kids because there was so many kids getting pregnant.
Justin and I went to Piedmont, and everybody knows it as Mount Pregnant. Everybody knew it, like growing up, and so we knew that's like, kind of stay away from there, maybe.
So that's one of my accolades. Is I grew up in the east side of San Jose. Nobody in my family was ever an entrepreneur or has owned businesses or ran businesses.
So that's an accolade in itself, if you ask me.
And so it was interesting in growing up. Like I always kind of thought that whatever path that my relatives had or the people ahead of me had was like the path that I was going to have. Nobody ever graduated college either in my family whatsoever.
Really?
So I was the first one that.
So did you go to college?
So I did. And then I actually dropped out of college too. So
Really?
I went to De Anza College for about 4 years because the first 2 years I was dropping all my classes, wasting all my parents' money, and just driving over there all the time. Then eventually I woke up after about 4 years of doing that.
Yeah.
Then I transferred to San Jose State, studied management info systems, and then.
So you finished at De Anza eventually, right?
Yeah, I didn't get like any accolades over there though.
Yeah,
I didn't get like an associate's or anything of that sort. I probably should have since I spent so much time there.
So I don't know too much about. I'm a high school dropout myself, so I don't know too much about that system. So I thought like in order to even apply to a college, right, you have to have the associates from whatever community college that you're at, right?
Well, you just have to have enough credits, and then you get the credits and like the number of I guess like courses that you have to take, and then you can transfer over to like San Jose State or like a CSU or anything like that.
Okay, so you finished off at San Jose State.
Well, I didn't finish at San Jose State. So, I guess like I kind of finished there, but I didn't finish it. So I took about 2 semesters at San Jose State,
right?
And then I got introduced to this financial services firm that one of my childhood friends had started.
Right, I have that written down here. So that's Universal Lending.
Yeah. And then it went into World Financial Group. And my friend had started into it in the very beginning. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that, like, man, he did it for about a year. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he bought this 5-bedroom house on the south side of San Jose at like 22 years old. So I was like looking at my professor, and then I was looking at him. I was like, do I want my professor's life or do I want his life?
Yeah, right.
They're like, okay, like whatever you're doing, like, tell me exactly how to do it.
Yeah, dude. I go through that too myself. It's like that was when I first left high school. I got out when I was like 17 and a half. I moved to Hawaii. My mom let me, or she
oh, that's
helped
amazing.
fund, get me out there and all that. I had to get a job, but I started taking classes at a local community college, and yeah, it's the same thing. You kind of like you see that. and then you're like, I don't want this for myself.
Yeah.
I don't want this at all.
Yeah.
And so so that's obviously like that's your turning point, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm so grateful that my parents like actually let me do a lot of those things and didn't give me a lot of flack about. They just like kind of said like, if this is what you want to do, then go ahead. And I had like the conversation that like, hey, I'm going to stop school. I can always go back later on if I wanted to.
So you start at this universal lending company, and what are you doing there?
And so basically doing sales, so selling financial services products,
you are a
refinancing
sales guy,
homes,
for
and
sure.
all that stuff. But I wasn't born like that.
No.
Like I'm like naturally an introvert.
Oh,
so
really?
Literally that's why I studied management info systems. Yeah. Well, that's the interesting part is that like I learned how to communicate through that experience of getting introduced to financial services, learn how to talk to people. And I had to read books, lots of books on it of how to communicate because I just wanted to be behind a computer and just working behind a computer so I don't have to talk to anybody.
Right.
And that's what I really like to do. And even to today, like when I'm in a big crowd, I have to use the next day to really kind of recharge.
Really?
Because after exerting so much.
Well, I guess we're going to bounce around too then, because I have some questions about that. So you're part of like an entrepreneurs panel as well, right?
Yep. Yeah, the entrepreneur organization.
Yeah. So you'll have to tell me a little bit about that because I don't know what the hell that is.
For sure.
And then that's got to make you have to speak in front of large groups of people, right?
Yep.
Oh, dude.
And that's my friend, my mentor, the guy who introduced me to the financial services industry.
Yeah.
He like kind of forced and said like, I think you're ready to start teaching these classes about like getting people to refinance their homes and all that stuff because you're starting to be successful in doing it.
Right.
That you got to start teaching these classes. So like every Tuesday I would teach these classes for like 15, 20, and then it started becoming 50 people and everything.
What exactly are you teaching in these
Just basically how to communicate with them. And
really?
How to actually talk to people. And I was like 22 years old at that time. So talking to like 50-year-olds about their biggest prized asset was like,
what the hell? That's crazy.
A big thing. Yeah.
So wait, how do you even have the confidence to do that at that age? At that point, what are you working for? What, 2 years?
Yeah, maybe like 2 years. Maybe.
And you just got thrown into that.
It was just the fast track. Yeah, just getting thrown into the fire and just reading tons of books on
dude, that's a trip.
The biggest game changer was reading Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, so you're big on like the I don't know what I want to call it, maybe self-help type of stuff, right? So like the Gary V. You took your guys to
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins. I mean, that dude is like the mecca of self-help.
That was a game changer.
Yeah, is it really? Yeah. So
absolutely.
you're big into that type of stuff then, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've increasingly gotten like a lot more into it recently.
And that's the biggest thing that like I always like kind of preach is that like don't come from an entrepreneur family. I grew up on the east side of San Jose. I didn't see success around me whatsoever.
Right.
But what I did is that I associated with people in these books, and I actually became friends with those people by like associating with these books. So in my mind, I'm friends with them.
Right.
I don't know them. They don't know me or anything like that.
Yeah.
But in my mind at that time when I'm reading these books, I'm close friends and I'm associating with them. So my mind is expanding where it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter your education. What matters is like, are you going to improve every single day?
For sure.
Are you going to be better today than you were yesterday?
Yeah, it comes down to like fucking, you just got to do shit. It was just like you were saying when we first started the podcast. It's like, you could get better equipment or whatever, but who cares? Just start the shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And it will get better as it goes along
exactly.
too. It'll get better and better every single day.
For sure. So. So you're there, you're teaching these classes, you're at Universal Lending in sales, and what are you selling at? Is that?
So I'm basically refinancing people's homes and also selling life insurance too at the same time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So a little different than what you're doing now.
Completely different.
Yeah, for sure.
Completely different.
So which led you to real estate companies, and then from there you went into kind of the industry that you're in now.
Yeah.
And I don't understand fully what your company does now, and I'm super curious about that because I explaining it to Justin before we started the show. I'm like, he's in marketing, I believe. So maybe you could kind of shed some light on that too, because I don't fully.
Oh, for sure. So what's interesting is, I was doing financial services, living on 100% commission. There was no salary or anything like that. 100% commission. Wow. Yeah,
so
if I didn't sell, then like I don't eat type of thing.
Right.
So what was interesting is 2008 rolled around, and that's when it was a huge crash. Yeah. All my clients all dried up. I probably had maybe about $300 in my pocket at that point. And then the girl I was going out with at that time told me that she's pregnant with my son. So, okay, great. 2008, got $300 in my pocket. Right. Girl I'm going out with, pregnant with my son. Okay, like now, all of my friends always said, like, never go get a job. Like, don't sell your time for money or anything of that sort. All my mentors have always looked down on it.
Don't sell your time for money, meaning like a salary or hourly job. Like
exactly.
Like fucking folding sandwiches and stuff.
Exactly. So that's why they were always like, never get a job. So I was like, man, I'm going to have to go get one of those jobs. I'm going to have to go get a job.
What are you going to do, right?
Like, I got $300 in my pocket. I got a son on the way. Like, I'm going to have to go and do it. So I look on Craigslist and I find this company that does internet marketing and lead generation. And I was like, okay, I don't know what it is. Like, all I know is a $30,000 salary and it's like uncapped commissions. So I get introduced to this company and it was the best of everything, where it was like, it combined all my passions, where like I'm naturally an introvert and I like being behind computers. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a computer hacker.
So a hacker.
That's what I wanted to be when I was going to high school. Yeah.
Dude, that's so funny hearing that from you. It's so funny because you're around here. You're like the fucking famous guy with the nice shirts. You know what I mean?
Which is crazy because like in my mind, I'm like the introverted person that doesn't talk to very many people.
Dude, so not the case. That's funny, man.
So like when I saw that, I was like, man, and I can talk to people. And I was like seeing these like 20-year-olds and we were sending them like $250,000 checks. And I was managing these affiliates that were just basically building websites, putting links on their website and making money on the internet.
So what exactly were you doing in that? Or so that company, what is that company doing that you work for? What's the service? Not sure I understand.
So basically it's like if somebody wants to sell something online, they will build out an affiliate program to say like, okay, we've got this website, just send us people to this website so that they purchase from this website, and then we'll give you a commission for sending those referrals on over to us because they purchased something on the website.
Oh, okay.
So you get all these advertisers, Colgate, Crest, and all these people that were like selling body.
Wow, so you must have worked for a big team then, because it wasn't, obviously you weren't building the relationship necessarily with like the Colgates or the, or the Nike or whatever the hell, right? So you weren't actually building those relationships. What you were doing was just straight selling your services, right?
And getting people to run more traffic to those sites. So there's like specific affiliates and super affiliates that like that's all they do all day long, is like they just run traffic to all these sites, and then they live on the commission that they get from running traffic to those sites.
So that's pretty lucrative then.
Yeah. And they were like 20-year-old people that I would talk to on the phone, and they're like, yeah, just send me the link and I'll implement it. I'm on the way to Europe right now. And I was like, we just sent this guy a $250,000 check and he's on the way to Europe. He's like 20 years old. And then I call him a month later and I was like, hey, I'm going to send you another link right now. He's like, okay, yeah, just send it to me, like, but quickly, because I'm going to the airport right now and I'm on my way to Brazil. I was like, every time I talk to these guys, they're traveling everywhere.
Yeah, how indicative of the Silicon Valley is that? That's like that's the like most Silicon Valley shit I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, because man, I know these like 25-year-old kids that are making these badass products that all use like this brilliant software, right? But it generates views onto their page, and they make tons of money off of that alone. Ad space, things like that.
And that's basically what it is
guys
like
out here driving McLarens, and they're like they look like they're fresh out of high school, no facial hair yet. That's crazy to me.
The amount of opportunity that's out there right now is just ridiculous. The biggest challenge is like one of my mentors told me that focus stands for follow one course until successful. The biggest challenge that everybody has is like getting distracted with all these opportunities that continue to come. And that's a challenge. It is, it's still a challenge for me, because like it continues to come my way and I have to stay focused, where it's like just follow one course until successful, follow one course and just stay the track and continue to have that vision the next 5 years and knowing exactly where you're going to go. So that way we don't go and squiggle off into so many different places.
That's rough too, dude. It's hard when you have, especially like when you sound very similar to where I am at, like at my age. As of right now, I have a lot of opportunities that are kind of like they arise all the time. And it's hard not to go and be like, oh shit, well maybe I could do this on the side, or maybe I could do this or that. For a long time I was trying to do my own startup and do like a small brokerage thing. And then on top of that, we got the podcast. So you just really got to like maintain your focus on a couple things. Otherwise, you're going to be a ping pong ball bouncing around,
The biggest blessing that's been in my life has been my son pointing me and meeting his mom. And when at that time I was like, my gosh, geez, I just barely know this girl, and he's like about to be born and stuff like that. Like, I can't believe like this happened to me, and saying like this is happening to me instead of for me.
It's so frightening too at a young age.
And when I look at it, I was like, man, my son was born for a reason, for me to find that company, which now like found my passion in this industry that we're in now, where I look back and every time I see my son and I look him in the eyes, like it's almost as if like the universe is like speaking through him to me.
Man, that's crazy.
And pointing me in that direction to say like, he gives
sure.
me my true north. He gives me where I'm supposed to go. He gives me that focus that like you continue to go that way. Because otherwise I would be trying to figure it out.
Maybe off the rails a little bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
So I love that. And now he's 10 years old, going to be 11. He's amazing. He listens to all the stuff that we listen to audiobooks like in the car and like a lot of the Tony Robbins like
cool.
YouTube
That's cool,
videos.
Man. That Tony
he starts
Robbins,
repeating
dude,
it too. Yeah.
You put me on to the Tony Robbins stuff, man, because I was hating too. I even told you. So I was like, I don't know, man. I'm like, it just seems so cheesy to me. And everyone in your office is so funny. Everyone in your office is like looking at me like, no, dude. That it's the shit. Yeah. It's so funny. That's great. I walk into his office. He has a trampoline on the ground. Still don't understand why, but Tony Robbins said get a trampoline.
They wanted it. They were like, we should get a trampoline. And I was okay. Well, let's order it now then.
What's the idea behind the trampoline, dude?
So basically, it's like our state. So our state changes by our physical movement. So you know how like a lot of times like you may think that like I can come off confident and like maybe I'm always positive all the time, but like nobody's 100% positive all day long.
Sure.
There's that fear and that doubt that creeps into my mind constantly all the time. It always does. But then I have to have systems in place so that way I can battle those. So when that does happen, it's usually like when I'm getting tired. And once I'm getting tired, it's usually because I'm not moving my body. Okay. So we jump on the trampoline, like as soon as like we kind of feel like, hey, I'm kind of drained, I'm feeling like my energy's
do you really
down.
use it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you'll see us bouncing
so
in the office a lot of times in that way. Yeah.
That's hilarious. I think I walked over there the other day. And Joanna was the only person in there.
Yep.
And I just went in there to go say hi, and I ended up sitting on the trampoline. I was like laying there for a little bit. I was like, oh, dude, this is actually kind of sweet, man.
Because all it is just changing your state. Because a lot of times we can get stuck because we're just sitting there, and then we start like the fears and the doubts start coming in, and our energy starts draining. In reality, it's just moving our body.
Yeah, and that's got to be huge for you too. I mean, you're the president of this company, right? So you have a lot of pressure on your shoulders, right? And so that leads me into one of the questions that I wanted to ask you too, because I'm very curious about this. You were in an employee state for a long time, right? You're an employee, but now you're an employer, and that comes with a handful of other pressures, right? Now you're putting food on other people's tables.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, making that transition from going to managing maybe a few accounts and maybe a few people to managing now an entire company and your your team. What does that look like for you?
I think about this every single morning when I wake up. I think about their families. I think about everybody else's families. And it comes down to actually the Tony Robbins experience.
Really?
The first time that I went to the Tony Robbins event, right before we walked on fire, and I was over here thinking like, I'm not
on fire.
Yeah.
What do you mean walked on fire?
So they actually have you walk on fire like the first day, and I didn't realize this is what we were gonna do. I had no idea, and probably if I knew, then I would have like probably exited
with
pretty quickly.
With shoes on.
No, barefoot and everything. Yeah.
Tony Robbins has you walk on fire at one of those events with like 5,000 people.
Yeah, at like midnight.
5,000.
At like midnight or like 1 a.m. in the morning, I think it was too. I don't even know what time it was at that point.
Oh my God, this is crazy. So you are doing this when you worked where? Not at AdHere, right?
No, it was. Yeah, right in the beginning. It was our first like retreat. There was only 3 of us that went. And one of the guys, we're gonna go to LA as like a celebration type of thing,
right?
But like we're gonna do this Tony Robbins event too. So we do the Tony Robbins event, and we're like, we're gonna do Korean barbecue because it's in LA and all this stuff. So we're like, all right, so we'll go to this, and then we'll go and have dinner. Right. And we'll have Korean barbecue that night. And I was just and I thought for sure the one guy who really wanted to like go to Korean barbecue, I thought for sure like he was gonna be like, no, let's get out of here, let's go. So I was looking for him and waiting for him to say like, oh, let's go. It's already like 11, 12 o'clock, midnight. Like we should go to Korean barbecue now. So I looked back and I thought for sure he was gonna be the one that didn't like it and that he was gonna be negative about it.
Right.
And I looked back and he's having the time of his life with a huge smile on his face and he's ready to walk on fire and all this. Like, all right, I guess we're doing this. So I'm still thinking in my mind of like, okay, if he's going to do it, maybe I'll just like I was looking for an excuse not to do it.
What's the idea behind walking on fire?
So I think it's like an anchor. It's more of like an anchor to remember things, because now I remember, which like brought to the whole entire point of it all was that he paired me up with a stranger, and then the stranger told me and I told her like why I'm going to walk on fire. Why am I doing this?
Right.
The reason why I want to do it. And she had an emotional story that she was telling me that almost broke me down into tears.
Really?
And I was like, and then Tony Robbins goes, all right, that's the person who you're going to walk on fire with. So then I realized that like I wasn't going to do it for myself.
Right.
As soon as it came to another person, I was going to do it for her. And I was like, they can do whatever they want. If they want to leave, they can leave, but I'm going to do it for her.
That's such a trip of like the reasoning behind why you'd walk on fire. You know what I mean? Like that's so weird, and you would think it's like not related to your situation at all, right?
Yeah.
Like he's like, you're going to walk on fire, and you go,
Yep.
That has nothing to do with me running my business at all, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But
you
now
know-
it does, because
Yeah,
now it's more of like as the team grows,
Right.
I will do even more for them. I'll do
Right.
more for them than I'll do for myself.
But and it's a like a capacity of like relationship in your mind. So you're like you're relating your business to these things that you're learning, right? And so it's like you're making that connection in your head.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of people. Like I have buddies, right, that look at the self-help shit and they think like, oh, dude, this guy, get the fuck out of here, right? Like that's the
It's cheesy,
yeah. It's cheesy, it's stupid.
right.
But if you look at that stuff, and then you can actually walk away from that with some like beneficial material, why wouldn't you? That's the reason I flipped the switch on it.
Yep.
You know, because before I was very much like that. I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know,
The
the more I
key
look
is-
into it, and then
yep.
but I've been implementing some of these things, even from the smaller guys that don't really, you know, they're not really famous or anything, but they're releasing good content, and I'm like, you know, like I listened to this guy. His name's Jason Kalipa. He's a NorCal fitness gym owner here.
Yeah.
Do you know NorCal CrossFit?
Yep.
Yeah. So Jason Kalipa, he was in the CrossFit Games. He's huge on Instagram. He's big online. He's got a lot of great sponsors. He put out this thing like a couple days ago, and he says like just like in a CrossFit workout, there is a thing called a AMRAP, right? It's that, or no, I'm sorry, EMOM. It's every minute on the minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, he was saying this deal, like, you know, set a timer for a minute and do as many things as you can in that minute, right? And so I was like, thinking about that, but he says, you know, but set a timer. It doesn't have to be for a minute. Do it for an hour.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was doing. Like as far as the sales game goes, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I'm setting a timer just like in a workout. I have a timer for 1 hour to complete as many tasks as I can in that time. And I knocked it out, and like, so I walked away with great
that's
things.
big.
So now every day this week, dude, I'm like, I've been setting timers, and I'm kicking ass.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize. And so like that's kind of the idea, right? It's like I'm walking away from something that I got from on fucking Instagram.
And that's the biggest challenges of like not getting distracted, especially with our phone vibrating nonstop and getting alerts on everything that
Right.
like, if you literally have just a focus for just an hour, you could put that phone away and you just focus on the one
my God,
task for
dude.
just
I
that
know,
1
the
hour.
phone.
You get so much done. And say you do 3 of those, that you accomplish 3 goals that you want to accomplish every single day.
Yeah.
You'll make so much more progress rather than like just kind of like, oh, I'm just going about the day
Yeah.
of whatever comes up today.
For sure.
Then like I'll just go and do it.
So circling back to the Tony Robbins deal. So so your team went.
Yeah, so it made such a big impact on my life that
Right.
I was like, every person who comes on board, like, you've got to go to it too. You got to go to it.
You hire a person. You're like, hey, before you start, you got to go to Tony Robbins.
So we have core values, which is we call the 4 Ps, which is one is positivity, personal growth, pulling together, and personal accountability. So we hire based off of those. We don't hire based off of resume. We hire based off of those 4 Ps. So if somebody's not positive,
Right.
then we know they're going to bring negativity into our office, bring negativity into all of our lives. And that's what we don't want. If they don't value personal growth and personal development of actually being
Right.
better today than they were yesterday, then maybe they're not the right fit for us. They could have MBAs, PhDs, and all this different stuff. But the hardest thing to change is attitude.
Refreshing.
Is attitude. So if they don't have the right attitude and they don't have those core values, then they probably don't belong on our team, because they're going to ruin the rest of the team after that.
I mean, but you don't X-nay on the resume though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you still got to have some.
I mean, we look at the resume and all that stuff too, but like what it really comes down to is like, are you willing to win? Are you willing to put in the work? Like, do you have heart? Because I feel like, you know, like you have all these tests that you can take, the personality assessment, you know, the
I've done that before,
all that different stuff, but you can never tell a person's will to win, and you can never tell like what they really have in their heart by looking at an assessment or looking at a resume.
Right.
Then that's what we want, is people that have heart and they're just willing to do whatever it
So
takes to win.
important.
And that's so
Yeah.
unique to find.
Yeah,
Is like
for
somebody
sure.
can have all these different accolades and all this different stuff, but it's like, do you have a heart to win though? Like,
Yeah.
are you willing to put in the work every
Right.
single day? And I'd rather take somebody who's willing to put in the work every single day than somebody that's got a great resume.
Oh yeah, for sure. And your team puts in hours too, dude. Like, and it's not, and no one's ever, you could just see it too. Like and you're right. Cause your methods are working, I think. I mean, I don't know what the growth looks like in the company. Sounds like it's doing very well.
Yeah, we're doing well.
Yeah.
we're
No,
doing very
I'm
well.
stoked for you, man. That's awesome. But it shows in your employees. And one of the things I was actually talking to my mom about this, and I was like, dude, his employees are so happy. You know, I mean, it's hard to come by. I've worked for companies where, my bosses were not positive people.
Yep.
And you show up maybe 2 minutes fucking late and they had something to say about it. And it was like, it just made you like not want to even be there and not be part of the team. And, this is for companies where I did really cool stuff, like work I was proud of.
Yep.
And it made me not want to be there. It's like treating you like a child and all that stuff. And it seems like you guys have such a really strong team, like a community. And that's freaking awesome. And if
the way that I look at it is it's a family. I don't look at it as anybody as
For
like
sure.
anybody is like an employee or anything. Like,
Dude,
we're doing this as a team. We're doing this
so there,
together.
for
And I
sure.
think that's the biggest difference that we've seen as a challenge with some people too, has been there's a difference between a leader and a manager. A leader says, let's go. A manager says, you go.
Yeah.
And points the finger in that way.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want. We want people that are going to be in this together. We pull each other together. Like, we're going to do this together. And I think that's the biggest challenge with a lot of schools, is that like they teach, don't get to know your employees, don't become friends with them, don't get to know their family members, don't get to know the spouses,
That's so
don't get
weird
to know
me.
the kids.
It's like you spend more time with your employees than you do
Yeah.
than you do with your own family. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just the nature of it, right? Like that's
And that's why I consider them family. Like, my son thinks everybody is family too.
That's so cool, dude.
My,
I love
my
that.
son will
Yeah.
see pictures of us, and he was like, "How come I wasn't invited to this family event?" And like he's like, in his mind, that's like everybody is our family.
Oh man, that's so important too. And you know what, dude? I will honestly say that it is very, very visual. I can see that. I can see that. Everyone can see that. Everyone's like, "Oh, dude, Ruben's team's fucking awesome, man. They rock. They rock." I mean, everyone's super cool, and I could pop in there, and everyone's super nice, and everyone's chill. So, so that's definitely working.
And the biggest thing that I look at it is that like I feel like, it's tough when you're so close to everybody. You know their family members, you know their spouses, you know their boyfriends, their girlfriends, now, like their
now
kids.
You want the success for them.
Yeah.
Now they want to do, work harder for you and for themselves, because you're putting that out there for them, right? Yeah, that's a huge issue, I think, in a lot of management elsewhere. I think that's a huge issue, and I've run into that myself, where it just feels like your manager does not give a shit about you. They give a shit about their bottom line, their numbers.
Exactly.
Their.
Exactly.
That sucks.
And
that sucks.
And the way I look at it is like I like to look at everybody like they have a flashing sign on their chest saying like, make me feel special, make me feel important, make me feel like I'm somebody, because everybody is. Everybody has a unique gift that it just needs to be pulled out into them.
Right.
Not everybody is the same.
It's like
everybody
an inspire,
was born.
not require. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
For sure.
Like, everybody has a unique gift about them. It just needs to be pulled out into them, or like somebody just needs to give them a platform to go and perform and take that gift out that the world needs to see, because the world is at a detriment if the world doesn't see that unique gift in each and every single person.
Okay, so that brings me right back. So you were an employee for a long time, and now that you're the employer. So making that transition was Tony Robbins. Is that the answer?
No, man. I what was interesting is I got myself fired from the job so that way I can live on unemployment. And
you got yourself fired.
Yeah, so while I was working at the job, I was like, for every lunch, I would go to Starbucks and I would work on the business. I would either build the website, the company website, or something like that. And then as soon as I got off of work, then I would work on the business again. As soon as my son went to sleep at 9, then I would work on the business until about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Were you doing this solo, or was this
solo? Yeah,
really?
Doing it all myself.
Okay,
in
so
the very beginning.
AdHere is you didn't open this with like a group of people, no ventures, no venture. Really?
Yeah, and the good thing is, like, It's kind of good that I was so naive and like maybe so stupid too. I didn't know any of that stuff even existed, that you can get venture capital, that you could actually raise funds and all that stuff.
You bootstrapped this.
Yeah, like I didn't.
Dude, you rock.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's so cool. I love that shit, dude.
It's a good thing I was like so uneducated about all that stuff.
Yeah, maybe
because
it's supposed
like,
to happen that way.
Yeah,
huh?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason. Like there's no such thing as coincidences.
Yeah.
But it taught me for about like a good year and a half. Like I was sleeping about 4 hours a night because I still would go to the gym because that's what would give me my energy to do everything throughout the day.
Yeah.
But it was like every free moment that I had, it was either with my son or it was working on this, until the point when like the rest of like the company started like realizing, he's not focused as much as he was before. So I got myself fired.
Oh yeah, well I mean it worked. You could live on unemployment, right?
No, well it didn't stop there though. I mean like literally I went so far down. And knowing that like I let my house go into foreclosure, moved my son and I in with my parents to just work on it full time. I was offered jobs during that time, but I would always look at my son as like, this kid was born for a reason, point him in this direction. And I went so far down low that I literally went on food stamps. I couldn't even buy food. And
how long was that? How long does that process look like? Is that like?
That's like a good 2 years.
Shit,
yeah, a good 2 years of just eating crap the whole time.
But still working on the business.
Yeah, and I had no idea how to like pay myself or anything. I just wanted the business to work, so you just leave it in there.
I'm so glad you're on here too, because this is exactly the type of stuff that I want to talk about. You know, it's just that like that grind, the bootstrap grind. You know, you got nothing, but you bust your ass, and now look at you guys. You have a full team of people. You just took them to Cabo, dude.
Yeah, 12 couples. We went 12 couples. That's so exciting.
Oh, really? That's 12 couples. Wow, that's hilarious, dude. That's so cool. Yeah, I love that. So you're down in like the dumps, right? And you're just all you're doing in that time is just building your business.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So like I had to hit rock bottom. That was rock bottom. Yeah. Like it couldn't get any worse. Of like my son's on food stamps and like I'm over here going to court about like child support and all this different stuff too. Even though I'm on food stamps during that time, and I felt like everything was happening to me. And then there was a turning point when I started looking at like, actually everything is happening for me. It's building up my emotional intelligence for this and my courage to continue to push forward. Because it's almost as if it was like the universe testing me to say like, do you really want this? I'm going to put you through a lot, so that way you can respect the blessings that are going to come after this.
Right.
So there's always a turning point at that point of like you hit a wall, and it's almost as if, are you going to continue to push through that wall, or are you going to give up and go back to average and ordinary? I'm like, no, my son was born for a reason to push me through everything. So he's my energy. He's the one that pushes it all, that I know he's the biggest blessing in my life that helped me push through and break through. In the 6 months after that, it was amazing breakthroughs, and it was breakthroughs after breakthroughs, and we celebrated by going to a Tony Robbins conference.
Okay.
And doing
so
that.
At that point, so you did all this yourself. You built the company, and then you know, from there you're hiring people. Does that mean I'm assuming you always start with like a sales guy, right? That's kind of my.
No, so our tech guy was actually the first guy who believed in the whole entire vision of what we were gonna do before there was even anything to even believe in. Like I'm so grateful for him that like he believed in me, and he was willing to grind it out with me too. Like he was willing to work on the weekends when I was working too.
So what's the vision, dude? What is AdHere? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so we do internet marketing and lead generation. So we're the fastest growing internet marketing and lead generation firm, providing universities and colleges with prospective students to go and enroll at their colleges, either online or on campus here in the U.S.
Okay, so you guys are basically, I mean, in layman's terms, because I'm so not well versed in this world, but so you are basically reaching out to kids that are interested in going to college, and you're marketing to them to serve certain colleges. Is that how that goes?
Yep. And we utilize a lot of social media. So we utilize a lot of Facebook. We utilize a lot of Instagram, a lot of Snapchat, a lot of LinkedIn. So we utilize all those avenues as well. We also have a call center too that we own and operate. So that lifts us up where we can market out to these students that maybe they don't want to fill out a form online, but they rather talk to an actual human too. So it gives it the human touch in that way.
So do you have salespeople like on the ground that like go and meet with, say, San Jose State, you know, East Bay, and all the colleges in the area? Is that?
It's all online.
Really?
Yeah. So like we'll
awesome.
meet with them like maybe like once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And then we'll connect with them like face to face ways to add the human touch, but a lot of it's a lot of email, a lot of phone calls is mainly where it's at. A lot of LinkedIn messages and everything too.
Wow, dude,
yeah.
that's awesome. How many employees do you guys have?
So we have 15 in total. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They're kicking ass, Jeff. You hear that? They're kicking ass, dude. That's so.
But it's amazing.
Cool,
like it started with just like 3 of us, and in that time, we really didn't have very much that like could really be believed in. But like, I'm so grateful for the first ones that really did believe in the vision of where we were going.
So did you come up? I mean, obviously you were in this industry, so you, I mean, is this is what you knew, and this is what you knew was lucrative and was and you can make, and you were good at it, right?
Yeah.
And so that is that where you got the idea for AdHere, or is that?
Well, it kind of like rolled into that. I just wanted to do affiliate marketing, whether it be like lead generation or not, or do it for the education industry or not. Like I just wanted to do affiliate marketing.
Yeah. So I mean it's kind of funny too about that you're in that industry, because you are like, you know, a college dropout per se, right?
Exactly.
So that's funny now that you're marketing to like what you didn't want to finish at that time, right?
So what I understand though is that like people need confidence. So like some people, their confidence comes from the degree that they have. Some people, their confidence comes from knowing that they never want to go back to where they came from. So that's where their confidence comes from. Their confidence always comes from keeping the promises that they make to themselves. And that's really where confidence really comes from, is keeping the promises that we make to ourselves day in and day out. Because a lot of times we'll make promises to ourselves of like, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, but then something comes up and we don't go to the gym tomorrow. But the person that's the most confident, you know that they keep the most promises to themselves, because they always say like, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. I'm really going to go to the gym tomorrow. I'm going to do this podcast. Hey, we did this podcast type of thing.
Sure.
So that's where confidence really comes from. But like a lot of times people need a degree to get that confidence. So it's great that we can provide hope and connect people, especially like they don't even realize that there's online programs that they can study. And there's great online schools where like there's some of the schools that we work with. I was like, man, if I knew about your school when I was growing up, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you right now. Like I'll probably be like a music producer or something from there. Because if I knew about this, like and doing it online from there.
Well, you look like a music producer, right?
I feel like it. I feel like it with the microphone.
So, I mean, being in that industry too, like you have to be, you got to be like an advocate of going to school, right? Or an advocate of education. I mean,
just an advocate of personal growth. Yeah. Just an advocate of like personal development. Sometimes like people need it through formal education. Yeah. It's not necessary through formal education, but some people feel like they need it because they need formal education. But in reality, it's like really in all these books that's available to all of us.
Yeah, and you know what, dude, I kind of struggle with with that thought too, because I think some people believe that they need the on paper accolade of having, you know, the degree.
Right.
And I think that's sometimes, and God, and I hate to say this too, because I don't want to belittle anyone, but I think a lot of people just go to school because they say like, I need to be there. Yep. You know, I need to be there because everyone's there. And I don't buy that. I really don't buy into that.
Nope. So society will try to tell you of what's right and what's wrong. Society would try to tell me, you grew up on the east side of San Jose. Nobody in your family has ever built a business. So why do you think you should go and build a business?
Right. Yeah. Totally.
And that's what society will continue to tell you.
Yeah.
And that's actually what energizes me. And knowing that there's people out there that don't want you to win because they think like you don't look like you're supposed to win. You don't have the degree like you're supposed to win, and you don't come from where you're supposed to win. But that's what motivates me, is like proving every single person wrong. And now it's more of like, I just want to prove people right that actually believe in me now. The team, like I want to prove them right.
That's
that they made a
thought.
Great process. They made a great decision to be a part of this team and put in all their time into it, that like, I want to win for them now.
Yeah, that is a huge flip to make too, because I think that I don't know if that's a narcissistic thought, rather, is to like be like, oh, I'm, you know, you kind of got that chip on your shoulder, like I'm prove everyone wrong, you know, or whatever. Like, and you know how it is too. Like I was a bad student. I was a terrible student in high school. I was always in trouble, always in the principal's office, suspended. All, you know, the whole thing. Yep. And nowadays, like as I've gotten older, it's always been about like proving everyone wrong, that I could do well. I could, you know, do whatever I want. I can get my own place. I can get the car, like all that crap, right? And then it wasn't until like maybe in the past year where I was like, I don't need to do that. I don't feel that need anymore to do that. Now I want to prove myself right. Yeah. I set these goals. I'm like, I want to hit these goals. It's, you know, and it's totally a flip, and it's changed my life dramatically. Yeah. And it feels good too. Like it's not, you know, it's no longer this like weird negative thing that you have to like go prove yourself to people. Like, cause I don't feel that way at all anymore. Now it's like, dude, I'm doing great things, and now I want to bring people up with me. And I love that, dude.
Our mind is so powerful. It literally
totally,
is
yeah.
like the difference between winning and losing is so small. It's so scary to talk about, because it's literally.
In what way? What do you mean?
It is just a change of thought like that. Like literally, like just waking up literally and changing your thought process from like, I'm a victim to I'm a victor. Things are happening to me. No, things are happening for me. That small little difference right there in the way that we talk to ourselves is so huge.
It's the inner dialogue is huge, to make sure that it's like you're reassuring yourself that, you know, that things are happening, you know, correctly. You know what I mean? And even when you fail too, because I'm learning that too. Like now I'm 100% in sales, and I'm eating shit a lot. You know,
all the time. You get no's. You like
not
build
even
a
just
thick
no's,
skin.
man. You should see some of the nasty shit that I get. Online.
I'm
People
sure.
are like, hey, don't ever call my phone again. Click. You know, I'm like, oh fuck, man, another one. And I, you know, sometimes and I share an office with my mom, and she'll just see me with my head on my desk for like 1 second. Just need a second to like collect myself. All right, back into it. You know, you gotta have the thick skin. But I mean, dude, accepting those failures is so monumental.
And you know what's interesting too? It like builds your emotional intelligence. Like the more haters that you have, the more that people like try to be negative to you, try to throw punches at you.
Straight brush
continue.
them off, right?
And the more that you smile with it, eventually they get to the point where like, why am I so mean to this person? Like, why am I trying to like hate on this person?
Yeah, and you know what, dude? I was that guy before. I was the hater.
That's why I can understand it too.
Yeah, for sure, right? I mean, I think everyone's there at some point, right? To a certain extent, unless you're like one of those people that are just super like, you know, super sweet all the time.
No,
it wasn't me. It wasn't me,
I'm
for sure.
Everybody's got to go through it.
Yeah, right. But yeah, that dude, making that little change has like changed my life completely. It's such a cool thing. Just like being way more empathetic, being way more involved with people, and actually listening and understanding, you know, where they're coming from. It's so freaking cool, and it makes a world of difference to like my career, my personal life, my relationships, everything.
And you know what, like when you talk about sales is everything. And when people say that they hate sales, like they're actually probably really good at it, because if you're a parent, you got to sell your kids on why you're the best parent for them every single day. If you're a doctor, you got to sell that patient on why, like, hey, they really have this disease or something like that you're trying to give to them.
It's really like a it's like a beacon, or not a beacon, but it's a you have to have it. You know, you got to have some type of sales in, because at some point you got to try to convince somebody of something,
right?
And you got to, you know, especially like your analogy with the kid is prime. That's perfect.
It's communication. I like a lot of people have a negative connotation with sales, the word sales, but basically it's just communication.
Yeah, because you envision like the sloppy salesman that's selling you a car,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. The slick back hair and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The shitty suit.
The crappy suit. Everything. Everything.
Exactly. I know. And I was told I was supposed to be in sales my whole life. My mom and dad always told me sales or be a lawyer, because I like to argue and pick people's brains, you know. It's a good skill to have, for sure.
That brings up a pretty good point too, because it literally is like associating with the right people, and people feeding you and telling you like, hey, you're great at this, you're amazing at this, and continuing to throw that into you. Do
you think, and God, this is a good question for you too, but do you think that that's like a relatively manipulative thing to do?
As long as it comes from the heart.
Right.
It has to be
like, don't
from
do
the
it.
heart.
Yeah, because so I struggle with this.
It's manipulative when people try to, and I've seen that happen.
Yeah, me too.
Of like people like, and you can feel it. There's a certain energy that you
Real
can feel.
Real estate agents a lot. I see this a lot. And car salesmen. Those are like the two big ones I think of in my head. When I think manipulative, I'm like, oh, dude.
But it's not all of them. Like when someone who firmly believes in their product and they're really communicating, like you can feel that energy.
And they go the extra mile to make sure that you have, you know, the warm fuzzies inside about what you're doing, to make sure that, you know, and they're going to hold your hand. I watch my mom do this, and I really admire my mom in this light. But she holds her clients' hands and makes sure that, you know, that they're okay. Like everything's going to be okay. And I like that about most salespeople that I actually get along with. It's that idea. It's like, you know, we'll do this together. We're a team, you know, and I'm here to solve your problems. I'm not gonna pump them full of shit. I still want to sell to them.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think it's that click of like, of actually being connected to them or not. You know what I mean?
I feel that that's what like communication is. It's a transfer of energy.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
can tell when somebody's trying to transfer energy that they don't have. So I can't transfer to you energy that I don't have. Like I can't speak on these things unless like I
otherwise
really
you
have
just
truly done it.
You
I've
end up
really
just
truly
being
felt
that
it.
fucking lying ass
Yeah, and you
salesman.
would feel
that
it
don't
too.
like- yeah.
You would feel it across the table.
Yeah, I mean, I
right
wouldn't
away.
have you on. I wouldn't have you here if I thought that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So that's when it's like people can feel that. People can feel when it's genuine or when it's a technique that they're trying to use.
Yeah,
Where it's like,
exactly.
when it becomes a technique, you're kind of like, okay.
So that brings me to another point too, because you talk about reading books, right? Now I am 100% full time in sales now. Wasn't prior. I used to do account management, a little bit of project management, but I always had my foot in sales like everywhere I went. But now I'm in sales 100%. And so I was like, I'm going to dive into some sales books. And you read some of the shit that you read in these books. And it's like this manipulative tactic.
Cheesy.
to just stealing from people is what the whole connotation is behind some of these books. I'm not going to out any of these books.
One of my friends had said the best salesman in the world is actually locked up in prison.
Yeah.
That's the best salesperson in the world
right.
because they use it for wrong.
Right.
But if it's used for like good.
Yeah, you just have a good product. You want to sell them a good, something good.
And I think that's what sales is. Sales is getting somebody to make a decision that's going to be better for them.
Right.
Not making a decision that's not going to be good for them. So like selling them a product that's not going to be good for them to
leave them high and dry.
That's where the prisoners go. Like that's where,
for sure, exactly. And so
in that way,
and so you read these books and you're just like, man, is this really how people think? I'm not like that. I don't want that for people. I don't want I don't want these companies that I work with to fail. I want to provide them with a good product and everything. Exactly. That's such a trip. That's such a trip the way people's minds work in that way. But that click of positivity that you and I are talking about, that's huge.
And when it goes from the head to the heart, then people can feel that a lot more.
Yeah.
They want to buy more. And then all of a sudden, like the sales start coming in much more too.
Yes.
After that. They
for
start
sure.
coming to you rather than like you trying to press yourself forward so much.
Yeah. It's a hard game. But but it's good.
But I think it's key though. Sales drives everything.
Absolutely.
Sales and communication drives everything.
Yeah, so that's kind of where you got your start, and now you're running the team of people. That's gotta feel like a trip, man. That's gotta feel like do you feel like you like that feeling of I made it? Do you feel like that?
No, that's why I work like every single day. It's like,
I know. I know.
I think that's the associations too. My friends that I continue to get like text messages from, like that same friend who's my mentor. He will continue to text message me of like his next steps and like the new things that he's doing and everything. Like as soon as I kind of feel like we've made a little bit of accomplishment, I'll get a text from him like, oh man, okay, let's go. Let's continue going.
Yeah.
This is just the very beginning.
So you guys feed off each other totally then.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
associations are everything. Associating with others that are thinking big and they're like thinking big visions.
Yeah. So you got like a team outside of your own team, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So like
awesome.
in going through and eating like all that crap in the very beginning, it helped to filter where I disappeared for a long time from a lot of those friends that I was associating with before that at that time I didn't realize weren't exactly the best for me because they would say like, why do you think you could do this? Like why are you sure like you can do all that? Like they would talk about the overtime that they're gonna do and all this different stuff like they would work at.
That is like my biggest pet peeve are the people that go, that's not my job. That's not my job.
Yeah.
That is my biggest pet peeve, and I hate that mentality.
And they would watch the news before they go to sleep. The first thing that they would do, they would talk about the news and talk about all this stuff.
The rut. It just is like, and they're going to exist forever. They're never going away. But I don't like to surround myself with those people either. I can't stand it.
And now that I surround myself with just people that are positive, that are talking about big visions of where they're going and the amazing things that they've done so far, and they're just getting started, it's almost as if like that stuff doesn't even exist in my world anymore. So like when somebody talks to me about like, hey, do you know what happened over here in like San Francisco? There was this guy, he was a suicide bomber or something like that. I was like, I don't even know that's even going on. Sure, like I care, but like I that doesn't exist in my world.
Yeah, dude. That's so funny you say that. I was just talking to a buddy about this. I gave up like listening to politics. I gave up listening to like even current events. Like same thing, but not because it was stupid. Like it's a waste of my time when I'm trying to build my brand, build my business, all this, all the things. Like I don't have time for that shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Not
like,
at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So like they're like, did you watch the debate? Like, no, I have literally no idea who's running right now.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
I have no idea.
I will do the research when it's time to vote, but as of right now, I don't need to spend.
I'm like, I don't care about whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. I'm focused on work right now. That's all that matters.
So that was the best part about going broke is I couldn't couldn't afford cable TV. So like I didn't.
That was the
since
best part
then,
of going broke, is
since
that-
then, like I still don't have cable TV. Like
Oh,
I don't know
really?
what's going on
I
or anything
don't
like
either.
that
Yeah, I don't
whatsoever.
either.
Like
my
yeah.
TV's got like the Netflix button. That's fine for me.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, if you took the TV out of my house without me knowing, don't do that. It would probably be a good 2 weeks before I knew it was gone.
Yeah.
I'm never in front of the TV. I'm always like, hey, I go home, I eat, I get in bed, and get back on my computer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or like I listen to a lot of YouTube videos. Is
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
do.
me too.